happens, like kind of like on SNL when someone does something really funny and a fellow actor breaks. And he kept going. And like, once he had me laughing, he would not let up until I stopped laughing. And so that's a favorite of mine.
You're so hilarious when you do
that. Well, once the laughter goes, I found that our best episodes generally have a moment or two where the laughter starts and everything just takes a pause, and then we resume after we pick up the pieces.
Exactly.
But if you're looking for a good laugh, the New Coke episode has a great one. Torture Me Elmo has a great laugh. Wowie Wow 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 has a great laugh, and Typhoid Mary. Those are kind of our creme de la creme episodes.
Would I be imposing too much? What I was going to say is to ask you two to do a brief skit here. We have a little bit of time. So would Typhoid Mary be one, or one of the others? You could just do a few minutes, maybe 3, 4, 5 minutes of one.
Sure, we could. Let me see if I can find one of my old scripts.
I love this. This is great for me because Jason is put far more on the spot than I am at that point. Because I'm just the person who shows up to learn. So, Jason has to tell me what we're even talking about, and I'll try to remember what on earth, what was going on in that year in history. So we could certainly, I'm game. Certainly try it.
I'm looking for something that'll definitely be G-rated. All right, I'm gonna go into Typhoid Mary, and we're gonna jump in. So Mary, at this point, they figured out that Typhoid Mary had she was the culprit. Basically, they learned that when Mary cooked food, people didn't get sick because it killed the disease. But if she made a dessert or salad, the entire family that she was employed by as a chef would get typhoid fever. And
right.
It was pretty gruesome.
The melon salad. The melon salad is what did it.
Yeah. Yeah. And so basically this guy named George was following her around, and he's a doctor, and he is an infectious disease. He's trying to figure out who the culprit is, and he thinks he's got it with Mary. So I'm going to jump back in, and Kevin, I don't know if you remember these moments, but here we go.
I'll try. I remember she's Irish. I remember that.
Right.
She is Irish.
Mm-hmm.
So George went back to all her prior employers, Mary's prior employers, and talked with them, and found out that every time she worked for people, they all eventually became ill with typhoid fever. She would often leave the employment shortly after the outbreak, but one of her early employers, Coleman Drayton, would tell George that she had stayed by his side during his family's outbreak and helped him tend to his family. He then gave her a $50 bonus for helping with the illness she caused. It would take him about 4 months to find her, but when he did, in 1907, he found that she had already unknowingly struck the family. He would write, quote, Mary was working as a cook in an old-fashioned high-stoop house on Park Avenue on the west side, 2 doors above the church at 60th Street. The laundress had recently been taken to the Presbyterian hospital with typhoid fever, and the only child of the family, a lovely daughter, was dying of it. End quote. He started to talk to her.
Like, how on earth does she not know that she's doing this? She's wandering around with a giant swath of disease behind her. Doesn't she connect the dots? That's the thing that's about me. She doesn't connect the dots ever. She's like, everywhere I go, people are sick. And never me. She's had to think she's a big
Right. And then so George started to talk to her, and then would reveal what he was thinking, that Mary was the cause of all the typhoid outbreaks. He didn't wait for her to respond before he asked her to give him a sample of her blood, urine, and poop.
Oh, my God. And she says to him, look, doctor, if that's even what you really are, my husband can ask me to poop in a cup all he wants to. But if I don't have a ring on it, you?
Mary,
she hit him, didn't she?
Mary, we I actually think she did hit him.
I think she
definitely got violent. Yes. So she got really mad, right? And the man was asking for an unusual thing. Well, George went out again the next day, like some really messed up gentleman called her and followed her to a friend's house. So she's out to tea with a friend, right? And he follows her.
Right.
They ended up having a large argument.
Yeah. I see you waiting for me to finish my tea so I can urinate in your little cup there. I won't do it.
Mary, I just need a sample, just a quick sample of your poop, and then I'll be out of your hair. That's all I need.
The very idea. It's about decency, sir.
I like the idea also of her friend being like, Mary, what is happening? Why is this guy talking about your poop at my house?
Who's this man?
They ended up having a large argument. We attempted to convince her that while she never had any symptoms, it didn't mean that she couldn't transfer it to others. Basically, Typhoid Mary was the first time in history that they figured out that someone could be asymptomatic.
Okay, but
she basically said
at that time, it makes no sense. Like if you're trying to tell somebody, like, you're spreading disease, you have to assume that you have that disease. Like, I totally understand that.
Right.
Thinking like that's all. That's like it's a paradigm shift, and we're expecting this country cook to get it.
Well, and the best thing is she actually responded with everyone. She responded to George with everyone in the city gets this illness eventually, and she's never had it. So it's like a little bit of an oxymoron, like, everyone gets it, but I don't have it.
Well, yeah, but you have to think about her sample size. Like,
yeah,
everyone she goes, get it, sure.
So she basically was about to flee, and so George got a doctor to go talk to her, and the doctor went to talk to her, and she slammed the door in the doctor's face, and they ended up sending the police to take her by force. So she ended up running out the back of the house, jumping over the fence, and while they chased her, and while they were chasing her, she actually was able to fight them off for like several blocks. And she bit them.
In heels and petticoats. Don't forget.
Yeah.
She's like Ginger Rogers. She's like, you try fleeing from the cops in heels, backwards.
She's like an Irish in America instead of an American in Paris. Basically, she
fleeing from the cops is the original Irish experience in America, yes.
And once they got her into custody, they actually forced a sample of poo out of her, and it came back positive, no surprise, of typhoid fever. But I just like the idea of her, like, you will stay in this cell. And they're like, you will stay here until you go to the bathroom. I don't have to go. Like,
you will eventually.
Kind of, you will eventually, yes. So throughout the episode, basically, we learn about what she had to deal with. Eventually, she, through her life, she basically was, they told her, right, you can't be a cook anymore. You have to do another job. And so she said, fine, I agree. She finally agreed with them. And she said, I'll be a laundry lady. But laundry ladies didn't make as much as cooks. I'll be a sous chef. They didn't make as much as the cooks. So she went back.
Raw food.
She went back to being a cook, and they ended up having to chase her down again. She ended up putting an entire hospital. She got infected an entire hospital staff and the patients with her typhoid fever. And they came for her, and she actually was waiting for them. And she said, "Yeah, I see it. I figured it out." And so they ended up giving her a.
I did it. It was me. I did it.
They gave her.
I'm infected.
They gave her an.
I have the disease.
Oh my goodness.
I can give the disease. I don't have it so much as I can give it. I don't really understand that part, but I do understand. I guess a little.
It's the gift.
People get sick when
the gift that keeps on giving.
Keeps giving. That's it. Listen, folks. Listen, fellas. We're going to have to wrap up here. We're almost out of time. I want to thank you for being here today, and I'm looking forward to having you back again next week. Next week we're going to be talking about My Pet Hippo Productions, your company, and I want to go through some of that with you. And again, thank you so much for being here today. Thank both of you. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Of course, thank you.
It was a pleasure.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for listening, and we hope you have enjoyed today's discussions. This has been Coastal Progressive and Rainbow Forum and on Society Bites Radio, and I am your host, Steve Ryan, and looking for you folks to hear us all again next week.